Hey now, when my daughter told us that she wanted to have a Harry Potter themed birthday, it seemed like a no-brainer that we would have to be serving butterbeer for this. Now, since it's been quite warm outside lately, we thought we would try to do something nice and cold, chilled down, a little bit of a twist on the whole butterbeer concept, so we're going to make butterbeer floats. Now, since we have quite a few kids coming to this party, I mean, there are going to be like 20, 11-year-old girls running around my house. We need to make a sizable batch of this. So I think it's going to be fun. Either way, at least making the butterbeer is going to be fun, and come along for the ride. Now, like I said, I am going to be making a sizable batch of this. It's actually going to be 18 liters or 19 quarts in size. However, in the video description, I'll put that full recipe. I'll also have that scaled down for probably more like a 2 liter, 2 quart sort of size there. So you can check out a scaled down version of it there. I'm also going to be using some of the equipment that I use in my homebrewing setup here in order to carbonate everything. Now, you can definitely adjust this recipe if you don't have some of the same equipment, or you're perhaps just wanting to make it a little bit easier for you. I will mention how you can do that when it comes to those steps. But speaking of steps, our first move is to make some cream soda, so let's do it. For the cream soda, we're going to start off by making a sugar syrup. Now, in order to make that, you could use white sugar if you wanted, but because I like butterbeer to have some color to it, I am using just golden yellow sugar here. And for that, I did have that packed in fairly nicely to my measuring cup. And have just under 2.15 liters, or right around 72¼ fluid ounces of that sugar. And this is going to be a 1-to-1 sugar syrup, so I'm going with an equal quantity of water. And of course, I am going with filtered water for that, just so I don't have any chlorine or chloramine taste going on here. The crazy thing of when you mix sugar and water here is that you don't actually add the two volumes together for your final volume here. This is certainly not, almost 4.3 liters or 145 fluid ounces here, just because of the way that the sugar mixes into the water. Now, I've just got this over a medium heat, and the whole point here is just to heat this up until we have all that sugar dissolved in solution. Now, if you're not wanting to make your own cream soda, you can certainly adjust this recipe simply by purchasing the proper quantity of cream soda that you're going to need. Now, if you're doing that, I would try to find sort of like a darker or almost brown cream soda, just because that'll, again, give you the color that you might be looking for in your butterbeer. If you can't find that, clear cream soda would also certainly work. I would just try to stick away. I have seen like kind of hot pink cream soda before. I'd probably not bother with that unless you're looking for a very different take on the color of your butterbeer. Now, the amount of time it's going to take you to actually create that simple syrup by getting everything up into solution really depends, on the quantity of syrup you're trying to make, as well as the temperature you're running with your stovetop, even just the stovetop itself. Now, with a darker, simple syrup like this, it is harder to tell if everything is in solution compared to if you're just making like a white sugar simple syrup. However, I've got a light steam going on here, and I'm not feeling any sugar going on here, so I know that this is done. So at this point, all we've got is the simple syrup. Now, rather than trying to make everything upstairs here in the kitchen, I am going to take this downstairs to the brewery where I've got my keg and all that. So downstairs we go. Now, I am going to be mixing all of this in this corny keg right here. This is how I plan on carbonating things. It's just like how I carbonate homebrew in the home brewery that I've got going on here. Now, if you don't have the ability to actually carbonate stuff on your own, instead of using regular water, you could use club soda with this simple syrup and whatnot, and you would still be able to make your own cream soda. Now, with my simple syrup here, I'm going to be adding 3.6 liters or 3.8 quarts to my keg. Dang it, I'm just a little bit short here. I want another 600 mils of this simple syrup, so I'm just going to whip up another little batch of that before I carry on. So I made that additional 600 mils of this sugar syrup that I need. Going to add 500, then the other 100. Okay, we have the correct amount of that simple syrup in there, and now it's time to get some water into that. So I'm going with 14.4 liters or 15.2 quarts. And I am going with nice cold water here because that's going to make it far easier to carbonate. So with the sugar syrup and the water in here, all we've got is sweet water so far. We need a couple other things here to get our cream soda. So to this, I'm going to be adding 360 mils or about 13 ounces of nice vanilla extract. In the effort to make these final additions easier, I'm just going to add my lemon juice to my vanilla, and that is 60 mils or a quarter cup. Now this alone would be enough to make our cream soda. That would be exactly how I would just normally make cream soda, but we want to amp this up a little bit here and just get that butterbeer character, so we have a couple other additions. First off, I'm going to be using some of this caramel baker's emulsion. It's just sort of like a fancy extract. I'm going with 11 mils of that. And then I also have some of this butter bakery emulsion. Again, fancy extract, also 11 mils, or both of those are just over 2 teaspoons. So I have both of those emulsions in here, and I'm just going to get them into this, but I can't do that with just 2 hands. Just going to give this a quick little whisking with this tiny, tiny little whisk just to make sure it's all mixed up. And then into the keg we go. And now I'm just going to cap this up and get this all nicely chilled down prior to carbonation. All right, update on my life here. This is hours later. That butterbeer mixture should be ready, should be chilled down, which is what the liquid needs to be in order to carbonate. But the problem is that I currently have 20, count them, 20 11-year-old girls in my home. 20! Okay? My home is not built to handle 20 11-year-old girls. I don't think anybody's home is built to handle 20 11-year-old girls. I might just hang out in the basement, in the brewery here, and hide for the next few hours. I don't know, but first let's get this butterbeer going. So here we are. I've got my CO2 tank hooked up, hitting this with 40 pounds of pressure. This is just my Franken regulator right here. And we're going to force carbonate this really quickly. Okay, they haven't found me yet. I give this just about a couple of minutes here of that high pressure carbonation. As you can see here, we definitely have a nice carbonated beverage. Now it's just time to see how we're going to serve that and how it tastes with a little bit of that butterscotch ice cream that's going to be going into it. Yeah, let's do it. Now I did toy around with how I actually wanted to serve this. I debated putting it on my bar, but of course you can see the bar has sort of been taken over with a little wizard wand crafts there. I also thought about putting it on my jockey box, but honestly, given how quickly this is probably going to be consumed, I don't think there's much point using the jockey box. I think I'll just use a picnic tap here and run it off my small CO2 tank and just let it go. As far as finishing it off goes, I'm going to be running with some butterscotch sundae ice cream. I think that'll be delicious and even just further enhance that butter beer and butterscotch flavor we're after. I figure I should probably try this out before all the children's catch wind that this is actually on tap down here, so let's do it. There we go. I think once that foam dies down, that'll be perfect for this. Plastic is never really the best vessel for a highly carbonated beverage, just with all those sort of extra nucleation sites that might be present, but either way, whoo, look at that. And easy finish here with some of that butterscotch sundae ice cream, just like so. Ta-da! And now, before the chaos ensues, let us sample away. There we are. One's up sort of lightly carbonated. Obviously, we wind up losing some of that gas with it. Having the ice cream in there and it sort of combining with that and also causing extra gas to come out of solution. But oh my, that is delicious. It's sweet, not too sweet, not cloying or anything like that, but definitely, I mean, this is like a cold butterbeer float. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. Lots of that butter flavor, butterscotch, vanilla forward, all of those things. It's delicious, also kind of refreshing at the same time, especially with it being nicely chilled down with that ice cream. Oh, of course, this is just begging for some spoon action here as well, so I can get at some of that freaking ice cream here. So there you have it. Fun little experiment here. A recipe that hopefully you can follow at home with some adjustments sort of based on the level of effort that you want to put in, as well as the actual equipment that you have. But either way, I think this is a big win. I know the kids are going to absolutely love it and devour that keg. It's going to be a little scary, especially since I need to sit there and dispense. So before the troops arrive and probably put me to an end, I'm going to sign off here. So till next time, keep your birthday parties at 11.